Is it time for you to quit Jiu Jitsu? In today's episode, JT and I are going to talk very personally on our own view of when we will quit Jiu Jitsu. Here's the other things you're going to learn on this episode. Is the image of the elderly red belt that's still training on the mats simply a romantic lie that you've been sold? What are the two clear paths that you can choose from when it comes time to walk away from the game? And how making the decision to walk away early may in fact be the best thing for your health and your life. Hope you enjoyed today's episode, and do us a favor, wherever you're listening to this, give us a like, a follow, a 5-star review. Those little things go a really long way to helping to share these episodes with other people so that we can get this message out there. We appreciate you. Let's jump into the episode. Hey bro, so I was chatting with a mate, Dan, who was in the gym on Monday, and dial those levels in. And Dan's a power lifter, right? Power lifter, was competitive, competed at world championships, he said.
Wow.
Strong boy. And he's kind of moving more into this movement side of things, so getting really into his body weight strength and the rings and all that.
Cool.
He trains with Oscar Meerman.
Oh, yeah.
Oscar's
I love
his
Oscar.
coach. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Who you know from Melbs.
Is that Praxis Athletic in Melbourne?
No, Praxis Canberra.
Praxis Camp, my bad.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think Oscar's just working out of home or some
So
shit.
interesting. I knew Oscar when he started BJJ as a 16-year-old kid,
Oh yeah.
and he was kind of young and athletic then, and then he just turned into a freaking beast. I didn't see him for a little while because he kind of went off. He went away from jiu-jitsu and he went hard into movement.
Yeah.
Next time I saw him, my God.
Jacked.
Oh, incredible. Sorry, continue. Shout out, Oscar.
Yeah, cool guy. I met him on my very first kind of movement workshop with Ido Portal in Melbourne.
Right.
Yeah, right. Movement cats, like the ones that go all in, they become savages.
Yes.
You know, absolutely. But anyway, I was chatting with Dan, and he still does his barbell work.
Yep.
But I've been watching his body weight, like his movement, his body weight stuff, and he's like he was doing. The guy said over the weekend at the down at Ghetto Movement, he was doing one arm chins with 10 kilos weight.
Jeez Louise.
And I'm like, you don't get that without like a serious amount of work, right?
My goodness, no.
Anyways, we're chatting, and he did his barbell session here at Jungle Botany on Monday, and he deadlifted 250, right?
Wow.
Kilograms. And
Great work.
You know, he's smaller than me, right? He's probably 85, maybe 80 kilos.
Yeah.
So I'm like, motherfucker's no joke, right? In terms of strength.
Yeah.
And he said to me, I'm about to hang up the barbell.
Wow.
And I was like why? Like what?
Give it away now.
Yeah. And he said, he said, I've really got one more thing I want to achieve, which is a 200 kilo back squat. Props to you. I saw you got one in the last few days.
Yeah. Pulled it last night. So that was.
Oh, last night. Looked really good.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. That was, surprised myself.
When are you going to start juicing, bro, and just go all in? That's what we want to know.
No. I will back squat. I will probably back squat 250 kilos in 6 months' time. I'm actually better at squatting than deadlifting. That's what I've realized. Even though I like deadlifting more, I think it's just years of Taekwondo sitting in horse stance.
Oh, wow.
Formative years. But yeah, no, squatting is just the thing. And so
why don't you just pump juice and go 350?
No, I see those guys. I don't want to be those guys. I want to just see where it goes naturally. But anyway, it's funny that you say, how old's this gentleman?
30.
Ask. Right, I'm 41 and I'm about to go on the Odyssey. I'm about to go Bane Odyssey. I want to go as heavy as I can go on everything naturally.
I've seen you start such a journey a few times though. And
But
I feel like
I don't have jiu-jitsu getting in the way of it. So it's like jiu-jitsu is not my priority now. My priority is like, how strong can I get as some random dude in my 40s?
Yeah, right.
And I'm not getting weaker. So let's find out. But no juice will be involved. And no peptides either, so just putting it out there. But anyway, so you're our good friend who has been dedicated to powerlifting, and I find powerlifters are obsessive as jiu-jitsu folks. Like it is a real obsession.
Yeah, absolutely right. Like you get addicted to that thing.
It becomes part of you.
It's your identity, isn't it? So he said, I want to hit 200 kilo back squat and then I'm done. And he's like, I mean, I'll never be done. Like I'll always use the barbell as a strength tool. But he's like, I'm not chasing I don't need to get stronger. He's like, I don't think I ever need more than a 250 kilo dead or a 200 kilo squat, right? No. Which we all know objectively that is way beyond what you would ever actually need.
Yes.
And it got me thinking about this thing that we have spoken about before and we've spoken personally about it, not just on the pod, but this idea of like, when do you decide, when do you quit?
When do you walk away?
Right? And there is this kind of two different ways that it can happen. Okay. You can, and let's put it in the jiu-jitsu context for you listeners out there. You can choose to quit and say, I'm done, and you walk away. Or you are forced to quit. Ugh. Now, you might be forced to quit, but you might kind of have a thing in your mind like, no, I walked away.
I'll go back.
I chose not to, because the doctor said, hey,
I'm just on a break.
We're going to need to replace your knees and your
hip
slip disc and blah, blah, blah. But I think if we're really honest about it, it's either a choice or it's a mandate. It's
put on you.
Yeah, and it's a mandate either by a doctor, a health professional, your body, right, the universe, right. And so, I obviously I never thought about this when I was in my 20s, right, or even in my kind of early 30s. Now I'm 40. I think about it a lot because I'm definitely on the downslope with jiu-jitsu.
Sure,
not hiding anything about that. And I think about it a lot, and I'm like, how do I want it to be? And so, having that chat with Dan, I was like, man, there's something beautiful about him making that decision.
Make the choice.
And doing it voluntarily.
Yep.
And it's almost like, I had a relative recently passed away, cancer, horrible thing. I'm sure everyone listening has probably been affected by that in some way. And you can resonate with, someone as they are, and then they get ill, and then they decline, and then their final days, weeks, months, sometimes years in hospital as a shell of their former self.
It's hard.
And you'd be like, I know that, say, my uncle, he didn't want people to see him when he was really at that sharp end of the decline because he didn't want that to be what people knew of him.
Remember of him. Yeah. Understandable.
And it's like, and so I'm like, what do you want your memory of jiu-jitsu to be? Do you want it to be, I loved it for 10 years and then I battled with it for 10 years and then I finally quit? Or I had 15 good years and then I walked away.
Do you go out on top or do you fizzle the fuck out? Oh man, that's a tough one, right? Because we're all subject to it as humans, which is the sunk cost bias or sunk cost fallacy, but I've just done it for so long. I will have wasted all that time, which is not true, right? You can walk away at any juncture in anything, whether it's a relationship, a business, anything, because you still got out of it what you got out of it. It's what you do with what you got from it, right? Like, I think that's pretty key. I am actually a hard quitter. I am a rage quitter. I am a fuck this, I'm out, burn the shit to the ground. I'm never doing this again, get fucked. I'm possibly less emotional now, but it's strange that I literally have a visceral feeling in me that's like, I'm never going to do this again. No, I'm out. No.
What is that?
It's strange. I don't know. It's undiagnosed bipolar. No, I don't know.
Safe to say diagnosed. I'll give you that diagnosis right now.
Thank you, Dr. Joe.
Right.
On the couch with Dr.
Please
Joe.
Come back anytime for your next analysis.
All right. But no, it's strange. Like when I quit Taekwondo, I walked out. I've never done it since. I did it for 15 years. It was like my whole life.
Yeah.
And then something happened, like a conversation with one of my heroes and my coach at the time. It just broke my heart. I guess like a relationship. It's just like when it's kind of over.
But that was a catalyzing moment, that conversation, right?
But that I didn't know it was over. Like I still had hopes to keep going for another couple of years or try and be competitive. And the way he spoke to me, I guess I felt like he knew better than me. And he just said, "You're done." And I was like, I must be done. And it just sent me reeling and my whole world was like falling down. It's like my coach broke up with me, you know what I mean? Kind of almost like that. But he just basically said, "No, athletically, you're done. You're not going to go to the Olympics. You're not going to."
I can imagine you raging and storming out, and then there's like a kickboard like up super high, and you're like, "Wow!"
Like
with this big side split,
jump up,
and your coach and the coach is like, like it's like the most beautiful example he's ever seen, and then you're just like, "I'm out.
Never again.
Yeah.
Not for you. Not for anyone."
Coach drops to his knees.
Why? No, actually, I walked out, and I think he expected me to come back, and I never did.
Because you're like, "F that."
Well, no.
Yeah, I know you, bro.
No. I was sad. I was sad for me because I believed in him and I believed in me, and he convinced me otherwise.
Wow.
And so it's been
That's pretty rough.
It's pretty hard, yeah. But what I was going to say is similar. Like,
You got to respect the fact that he was honest.
yeah. Well, I mean, that was only his interpretation, but it all worked out for the best because we're here now.
Hey, so today's episode is all about when you walk away from jiu-jitsu, right? And we all know that this time's going to come. But what we also know is that there are actions we can take along this journey that are going to help extend our longevity. They're going to give us our greatest performance, but also the greatest amount of time to continue to train and enjoy jiu-jitsu. And one of the actions you can take to do that is to start following an intelligent, well-designed strength program that's been built specifically for you, a grappler. Now, on our app, Bulletproof for BJJ, we have those exact programs. JT and I have designed these to assist you in your journey so that you can be strong and perform well, but you can also stay in the game for the longest period of time and have good health. All you got to do is jump over onto the App Store and you can start a 14-day free trial. You can sample any program you like and you will get coached directly by us. Just go to the App Store on whatever device you have and search Bulletproof for BJJ and we'll see you on the inside.
But like I changed gyms recently. There was a night in the previous gym I was in and it turned me off. It was like, I never want to come here again. I never want to come here again.
What happened?
Oh, I just witnessed absolute gym fuckery. And I couldn't.
Someone back squatting with a pussy pad on the bar or something?
No, it's like when you know when you see something bad or like not a miscarriage of justice, but you feel like you should say something.
Yeah.
And I was just there doing my workout, and I have this coach inclination in me, which is like, "Oh, hey man, you just look like you herniated every disc in your spine. Can I just give you a few pointers?" Like I couldn't do that because there's another coach there. Like that guy's coach was there, overseeing bad conduct.
Right.
And I couldn't abide that. And also the atmosphere was just very off for me in terms of it made me not want to be there. And you might have found this with, maybe your gym changes and then you're like, this is not what I signed up for. This is not it. And for me, it was just like, I'm never going to come back. Something changed internally. And it wasn't like I felt sick. It's like I just felt so strongly resolved. Like, fuck this place, no. And that was it. It was just like, no, and I haven't gone back. And I had to change gyms. And it was such a strong feeling in me. I have no sense of regret. But what you're saying about the idea of choosing to leave versus having it put on you, the hard thing, I think, with all of this in life, whatever we're doing, if you've done something for a period of time, even if you walk away on your terms, there's something in the back of your head's like, oh, I could stage a comeback. I'm not done. Like, oh, did I leave money on the table? Like there's...
Yeah. Could it have been more for me?
Whereas with the medical retirement, or, if we can call it that, or a life retirement, like situation just absolutely means it's not part of your life now.
I call it, voluntary and involuntary.
Right.
Yeah. So with the involuntary, it's like, well, there's no two ways about it.
Yeah.
I'm not going, I can't do that anymore.
Yes.
And so here's what I've kind of come to think is that because we can all agree that you can quit today and then in 3 months' time, you can come back.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, you can always
you can absolutely do that at any point in your life.
Yep.
So there's actually nothing to be afraid of quitting. It also, but I think what we fear there is the existential like crisis that might happen internally because you're like, it's so much a part of me.
Yeah.
Like say, I can say that openly as this podcast and this business that it's a huge part of my identity, right? Jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, wait, I don't think I can stop doing jiu-jitsu. Like what's going to happen to me? Like it's part of the foundation that props me up as a person.
Yeah.
Right. And I know, and I'm sure you grapple with that too, right?
Sure. Grapple
So
with that.
yeah, babe. So but it's absurd because it doesn't never has to be finite in that way. But that is the thing, say about with Dan, where he's like, no, I will call it a day.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that in your own mind and your own narrative about yourself and your ideas and stuff, that when you declare for yourself, this is it, then it's like, well, you said it. So you kind of need to stick to that now.
To stay congruent with who you are, or your thought of yourself, whatever that is.
I know with jiu-jitsu that like there's a huge, like there's the fantasy of the graying red belt on the mats.
Sure.
And you see usually an old Brazilian fella, got the red belt and, the gray hair and you're like, how cool's that?
It's amazing.
And they're still doing it. Or, there's the old footage of Elio training, and he's, and you're like, and a part of you kind of like thinks like that would be cool to be that.
It's romantic.
It is. But then the counter thought that I have to that is like, well, yeah, but you could be doing like
anything.
Yeah. Stopping jiu-jitsu doesn't mean you have to stop any athletic endeavor.
No.
You can take up any other thing.
True.
Right. And that's going to bring its own romantic tales and sort of fantasies for you to froth out on.
Sure, yeah.
I don't know. So how do you see that?
Yeah, well, I mean, look, in 3 months when we bring young Julian back and you're no longer here, you'll know what's happened. You won't know Joe's retired, but there'll be signs. No, I think definitely, I guess I have changed my view on BJJ because I used to have a competitor's mindset towards it because that was my goal, was to be a competitor and be the best I could be at the thing. But that's also really context heavy. It's like music. It's like anything that you became passionate about at a time. It could be MMA. Could be a particular band or a genre of music that you loved at a time when it was great. And then it wasn't that popular. You're into it before it was cool. Then it got mainstream. And then all you hear is got addicted to drugs and success and their music became shit. Or rap was tough and then it became lame. Or whatever it is where at that time for you, it seemed special, it seemed authentic, it seemed raw, even though it may not have been, who gives a f***. But for you, it was that time. And then whatever happens after that, the emotional attachment, it's like, things ain't the same. And it happens every generation, right? And I believe because of social media, it's shortened up. I believe it used to be 10 years. Like the old school in hip hop used to be kind of like 80 to 90. And then there was like early 90s and gangster. And then it was like, but now I feel like it's even shorter in jiu-jitsu. If we look at timelines, like it's more like 5 years. There's like these brackets of time where a certain champion is popular or a certain style of game was new and all this kind of thing.
Right.
And the thing for me about being a competitor is all the guys who I wanted to fuck up and beat have far exceeded me and are far better than me. And the chance of me ever being better than them at jiu-jitsu is kind of gone. And I don't have the same ill intent towards anyone else. There's no person who I want to fuck up more than Craig Jones. There's no person who I want to beat down more than Sandbag and Creonche. These guys were my teammates. They were my best competitors. I'll never catch them. They're better than me. That sucks. But I also don't care to wish, I don't wish bad intentions upon anyone else worse than them. But also I don't wish bad intentions on them anymore. Like it's kind of dumb for me. Like that time is gone.
Do you think that was that an energy you needed to be.
No, not at all. I tried to be cool with those guys. I wanted to be friends with them. They didn't want to be friends with me. So f them for life. No, actually, I'm super actually proud that like Ben Hodgkinson and I have kind of become friends over time, because I thought that would never happen.
Right.
Because we were so like uncool with each other. And it's not that Craig and I are friends, but like I have more admiration for him than I have any other vibe for him, you know? So it's like I can comfortably retire in my mind. I'm not a competitor for jiu-jitsu.
Right, from that
That
chapter.
time is gone, because if I look at anyone else who's really competitive at the weight I would compete at, I just think they're great. I like them. There's no reason for me to want to just wreck their day.
Here's a question: do you still have? Do you like have daydreams about competition jiu-jitsu, about competing?
Yeah, I don't have daydream. I have. Yeah, like I have real time. I'm thinking of it right now, Joe. Like it's flashing across my vision.
You have those, and like those flashbacks of fights that you lost.
This guy got me, and I go there.
Yeah, I should have done this, and I would have done that, and that would have been sick.
You remember?
I would have been like,
yeah.
Taekwondo kicked his head, it rolls off.
It's all the stuff, you know.
That's fascinating though, isn't it? Like the because I have those too, right?
Yeah.
And I say to, and people ask me like, people will say like, oh, you don't compete anymore. I'll be like, I'm not, but I'm like, I haven't ruled it out.
Sure.
I'm not prepared to say it's ruled out.
I'm always gonna stay in shape and capable enough that if someone were to go, oh, do we want you to, that Rocky moment, like it's some ridiculous Hollywood-esque thing of like,
Gordon's dropped out last minute. We're here in Vegas.
We need you
we
to
need
fight
someone
Craig.
to step in. Yeah. This is ADCC versus CJI
the
super
role I have been preparing my whole life for. Like the one guy who I've obsessively watched and worked out how to fuck up his game. And I've just spent the last 10 years becoming the strongest human on earth. Let's go. We'll do it. No, but that's I do. The obsession in me won't let go of it in terms of, it's strange. We do this in our lives where we, there's definitely a chapter in your life that's closed, or like a door that's closed. But you, in a hypothetical way, you play, well, what would have happened if that worked, or if that would have happened? What happened if I would have married that Brazilian girl and lived my life in Brazil and just had that beach shack down the Copacabana and, sold chewing gum and cigarettes? Like what would my life look like, But the thing is, I can accept that I'm not a competitor, because me being a competitor is a context, because the people who I wanted to beat and dreamed of being like, it's all said and done, and the people who are a million times greater than me, they're also done, and what I loved about the game has changed, and that's cool. But I think what is great about this idea of being able to walk away from an idea or a pursuit or a hobby is it does free you up for whatever the fuck the next thing is. And that could be your great act or your next chapter. That could be
one could be one of many.
It could be your life's work.
Yeah.
Who knows, right? On today's episode, we discussed when is it time to quit BJJ. And I'll tell you what, there's nothing that makes me feel more like quitting than being thirsty as hell. Dehydration is a killer, but we have a solution. That solution is Sodi. Sodi is a fantastic combination of sodium, potassium, and magnesium, which is going to quench your thirst, keep you operating, and stop you from quitting on the mats. Now, when you go to sodi.com.au, use the code Bulletproof15 for 15% off and get hydrated. And I actually read a book while I was away called Quit by Annie Duke. And she talks about how there is this massive value in being able to stop doing something to actually do the next thing. And your inability to quit is actually what corrupts you.
Yeah.
And we've talked about those folks who they're basically just wrecking their bodies. They're going to do it until they're disabled. But the thing, even though you look at that and you go, that's honorable, well, now you've got some poor 21-year-old intern wiping your ass for you, and you're in your mid-50s. Like, what the fuck happened? Like, how could you corrupt your independence as a human in the name of this thing? People are like, that guy's a warrior. He's a samurai. It's like, no, samurais just died. They committed seppuku because they weren't wearing their hat in front of the prince, or they just died in a battle. Like, you never got that old as a samurai.
Yeah.
It was pretty hard to live past 25 years old as a samurai. So this idea, like, we're living longer, we're living older. It doesn't mean we're living better, but essentially, I think there is a massive value in being able to say, what is enough?
Yeah.
And this extends to all things. It's just so hard when you've got something as addictive as jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. I mean, it is, right. And I think that when you have that addiction, which I think I find it hard to call it an addiction for me now. It's probably just
that feeling when you have a good roll, like what?
Oh yeah,
what matches that?
But I just mean if I don't get jiu-jitsu, I'm okay. Like if I don't get to go, I don't struggle. Whereas I used to.
But the counterpoint on that is like, when you have a really good roll,
yeah,
it's super physical, it's skilled, it's all that. No one gets hurt.
Yeah,
and you and your buddy are
sick.
like. It's so electric.
That's
right?
what it's all about.
It's so many. It hits you on a mental, physical, like
absolutely
connection. Like,
but so's jerking off. Like that's super fun too.
That's
dynamic.
That's you
I'm
connecting with you.
I'm orgasming and
that's
shit.
Not you connecting with anyone else.
I mean, we could do it together.
Well, it's me connecting with the girl on the screen.
but yeah, no, of course. Like there's all of that, but the there's like I think that idea of like, yeah, but what are you going to miss? But then like, so say I've been thinking about, what would I do? Like, because combat, like I want to keep doing some kind of combat, and I'm like,
sure,
I think I got to learn to throw these hands, like where's Ronda Rousey at? And so I've been thinking like, would I do some boxing or would I do some Muay Thai? And then I'm like, I will probably get addicted to that.
You will.
And I will probably start to exact that same kind of froth of, oh man, like I'm learning this shit.
Walking
and like, did you know when you hit?
Dots.
Yeah, like, and
Deep Muay Thai.
But it's that same thing whereby, I can start commenting on his post because I'm one of the crew now. But it's one of those things where when you are unable to consider what the other side may look like, you cannot allow your mind, like your mind doesn't let you perceive of, you might just get really into something else. Like you probably will get into something else.
Yeah.
It's
it's the better the devil you know, right? Like you feel way more
safe.
The known, even if it's kind of unbearable, it's more bearable than the unknown.
Mystery, yeah.
Because that's how bad could that be, or how great could it be, right? And this is the thing that holds us back in everything in life. But the reason why I said so much about the competition thing is the identity piece. And me being able to accept that me being competitive was contextual makes it far easier for me to accept.
Right.
That like, even if I were to put in like an awesome 12 months of training, go really hard, win the Pan Packs or go to Worlds or compete, it wouldn't mean the same because I'm not beating Craig Jones. I'm not beating Ben Hodgkinson. I'm not beating those people who form my idea of who
victory.
Yeah, what a good win is and what that meant to you, like, and I think that if you can take it away from the jiu-jitsu context and apply it to any other thing you care about, like in your relationship or a business, whatever it is, certain milestones are super meaningful because of the stage you're at. And once you pass through that stage, it doesn't mean the same thing. Like you getting to your first $100,000 in the business, or you going on your first real big holiday with the love of your life, or whatever it is. Like it's so special because it's the first time, or it's so special because of where you're at. But once you go through it, it hasn't quite got the same sheen on it. And over time, the novelty wears off, right? Mm. So then we crave this novelty, and you gotta try to get it somewhere else.
I think kind of closing thought for me is like I think we've done a good job of expressing like there's something very like efficient and kind of like beautiful about quitting on your own terms.
Oh yeah.
Right. And I don't want to throw trash on the other, like the involuntary quit, because that's also just a strategy, right? Whether it's an active decision or not. Like people, you meet people like, I'm going to stay in this game for as long as my body will let me. Like that's totally valid.
Yeah.
Like fair, right?
Yeah.
But where I think there is something to be considered there is that, and I touched on this at the beginning of the episode, is that there is like a long period of shit to go through when you choose the involuntary quit route.
Yeah.
There is usually like you have this golden era and then you have this period of friction and friction like internal turmoil, injuries, not enjoying it right now, frustration. Oh, it's going okay. Oh no, it's shit again. And that could be like equally as long as your golden era.
Sure.
And it's like, is it worth it to go through that? I think that is just something worth considering. And a lot of people would say, yeah, for sure, because it's all how you perceive it, right, and manage it. But I definitely know people that I've spoken to where I've been like, I think you should just quit.
Yeah.
Like I think everything you're telling me and what I know of you, I think it's done.
It is so hard if the choice is taken out of your hands or the decision is made for you. I feel like there may be a greater sense of loss because you didn't get to have the say in it. Like let's say you have a motorbike accident and you lose your bottom legs or something huge happens in your life that just means you can never do jiu-jitsu again. Sometimes, and this is the only way I could frame that for it to be acceptable, is like maybe that was the best thing for you, was that you got stopped. Because no matter what you do, you can't do it now. Let's just say that's the situation. That frees you up for something else. And your ability to move forward, that's the hardest thing, the kind of grief and moving forward process. So I definitely know what you mean about like know when to hold them, know when to fold them. Like it's knowing when to call it, that's huge. But knowing that there's something else afterwards, that I think that is as good as you can frame it to feel positive about walking away.
Good chat. Thanks, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.